What's up everybody, RNC here, and welcome to my Magicka DK PVE DPS build for the Homestead patch for Trials and Dungeons. Unfortunately, again, I had to delete my previous build video due to some copyright infringement because of the songs that I put on there. However, we fixed it this time, we slightly improved the build, so let's jump right into it. When buffed, we're sitting at 41.2k max Magicka, 17.1k max health, 2600 spell damage, and 65% spell crit. Of course, all of our points are into max Magicka to increase our damage. I chose Dark Elf for the race. Dark Elf is definitely the most amount of damage you can do on a Magicka Dragonknight. Most of our abilities are flame damage. That is buffed by being a Dark Elf. However, High Elf is not bad either, and Breton is probably third best, but I wouldn't choose Breton. I'd definitely go with Dark Elf for this build. We're using a Thief Wonderstone to boost our crit chance. I'm a Vampire for the Magicka Recovery passive. Gives you 10% more magic recovery when it's leveled up. I'm using the max health and max Magicka food, and of course our potions are always the same: Essence of Spell Power, which gives you major sorcery, major prophecy, and major intellect. Let's go over the skills. Front bar is Inner Light, 5% max Magicka when slotted, plus 2% max Magicka and Magicka recovery for the Mages Guild passives, which are right here. Magic Controller gives you 2% max Magicka recovery for every Mage's Guild ability slotted. Because we have Inner Light and Shooting Star on our front bars, we get 4% bonus to both of those. Next, Unstable Wall of Fire. Now I'm using the other morph this time. Reason being is, one, if it's better with the rotation that we're using, and two, it does slightly do more damage. When the effect ends, the barrier explodes, dealing 3700 flame damage. Of course, that's an unbuffed tooltip out of combat, but it's really powerful. Next, Engulfing Flames. This is a really nice dot for yourself. It's an AoE dot as well. It's a conal, and also any affected enemies take 10% additional damage from all flame attacks. So you're buffing your group's DPS as long as you keep this up. So make sure that this is up 100% of the time. And this is why a Magicka DK in the group is always a must. Next is Burning Ember. It's a really powerful dot which has a heal at the end. We want to keep this up 100% of the time. Our main spammable is Molten Whip. Now, I've made the mistake this patch thinking about the whole off balancing and the change to the CP tree that Flame Lash would do more damage. And truth be told, it does more damage for us. However, when Flame Lash, when you hit Power Lash, it consumes the off balance off of the target. So even though you're doing more damage, the rest of your group no longer has the off balance on the target. So during that cooldown, you're doing more damage, they're doing less damage. It's a lot more DPS for the whole group. So make sure you're using Molten Whip. And the difference between Molten Whip and Power Lash in DPS for yourself as well is very minor. So Molten Whip is the way to go. Slightly decreases your DPS, but keeps the group's DPS very high. Next is Shooting Star. Again, we're only using this ultimate on our front bar for the Mages Guild passives. Switching back to the back bar, Eruption is our first dot. It's a ground AoE. It has a really big range, and it's a really powerful dot. Has some initial damage as well. Harness Magic is the shield that we're using. Now, I keep shields on for any fights that you know you're going to take high damage, or when you know you're going for flawless, or you're doing hard mode content which requires you to have a shield, such as hard mode Maw of Larkaj. You have to have a shield on your bar, otherwise you are going to die and cause your group negative DPS. So make sure you keep a shield on your bar. If you feel comfortable without a shield, I would swap this out for either an AoE ability for trash fights. You don't really need a shield there. Or Forcefuls for fights where you have to go long range. Next is Rearming Trap. Now the skill itself is a stamina skill. It does physical damage, so it's not that powerful in itself. However, it gives you the minor force buff when it is up. So that increases your critical damage by 10%. So it's very important that this buffs all of your other skills 100% of the time. Next is Flames of Oblivion. This is a really nice dot as well. Keep this up. Scalding Ruin is our next skill. Yes, I'm using the Rune. Now, my friends and I have done a lot of testing on this, and Every time we've tested, even though it's not the best test in the world, it's just using training dummies, it has been an increase from 1.5 to 2.5k every single time we've tried it. So I have been getting a lot more damage with than without this, and in any melee ranged fights I would 100% keep this up. Not only is it really strong single target, but it's also an AoE dot and it does flame damage, so for Magicka Dragoknights it's really powerful. If you don't want to use this, however, I would keep Force Pulse on your back bar, or again swap this out for some AoE ability, either Pulsar, Ring, Talons, Deep Breath, whatever it is that you want to use on your back bar. However, in single target fights that I can stay melee, I always use Scalding Ring. Lastly, it's our Standard of Might. This is our strongest ultimate, probably the strongest ultimate in the game, definitely the best for Magicka Dragoknights. So make sure you save this, don't use meteors, and drop this whenever you know the fight is going to be stationary. You want to get the most amount of damage out of this as possible. That's pretty much it for the skills. Let's go over the gear. So this time we changed our Maelstrom Inferno staff to our front bar because we have Blockade on our front bar. Now, this gives you nice constant damage. Make sure that it's always sharpened flame. If you don't have a Maelstrom staff, you can use either an Aether, a Moon Dancer, or simply an Inferno crafted sharpened staff on your front bar. So again, number 1 option is Maelstrom, number 2 is Moon Dancer and Aether, and number 3 is just a simple crafted sharpened staff. On our back bar, we're using our Inferno staff Infallible Aether. You can also swap this out for Moon Dancer, which goes with our jewelry. So because I'm wearing an Aether staff, I wear 3-piece Aether jewelry. If I had a Moon Dancer staff, I would wear 3-piece Moon Dancer jewelry. Again, if you don't have an Infallible Aether Moon Dancer, another Maelstrom staff would work, or a simply sharpened crafted flame staff would work as well. Again, for our jewelry, we're using either Infallible Aether, Moon Dancer, or if you don't have either of those, just use Willpower. Our 2-piece monster set is Grotdar. This does flame damage. It's still, even though it doesn't crit anymore, it still hits really hard, so make sure you have this. 1 heavy, 1 medium, both divines. And our main 5-piece is the Burning Spellweave. There's no set that's better than Burning Spellweave this patch, especially for Magicka Dragoknight, because you're going to have flame abilities up 100% of the time. So farm this. It is well worth the time. If you don't have Burning Spellweave and you don't feel like farming, you can use Twiceborn, Julianos, even Scathing could work probably, but Burning Spellweave from Magicka Dragoknights is definitely by far the best DPS you can possibly get from the 5-piece. That's it for the skills, the gear. Let's go over the champion points. So, green tree is very simple. 100 Magician, 100 in Arcanist for our sustain. Blue tree is same as the Sork. We're using 100 Elemental Expert, 24 Elfborn, and 75 points into Thaumaturge. Now this passive is why a lot of people changed to Flame Lash. And because the bosses with Lightning Wall are off balance most of the time, you're doing 10% more damage in a trial group. But again, we're using Lava Whip to slightly decrease our damage, but increase the whole group's damage and not take away the off balance proc from whatever you're hitting. But make sure you have 75 points into Thaumaturge to get this Exploiter passive. It's very important. It's a huge DPS increase for everyone in the trial. And as always, the red tree is always debatable. Depending on what content you're doing, what trial you're doing, what dungeon you're doing, it's always going to change. This is the best CP that I've come up with, that I've been using in Veteran AA and Vet Maw of Lorcage. This works really well. 100 points Ally Defender, 27 Hardy, 21 Thick Skin, and the rest of the points go into Spell Shield. However, if we're going to do Hellrout or Sanctum, I'd probably take the points out of Thick Skin, put them into Hardy, or take some points out of Spell Shield and put some more points into Hardy. But it's really up to you. See what you're comfortable with, see what trial you're doing, what content you're doing, and then set your CP up from there. So let's go over the rotation that we use on the Magicka DK. So we'll go over the rotation slowly a couple of times, and then we'll speed it up. So every single boss fight, you're going to start with proccing inner light, which empowers your fully charged heavy. And then we start a rotation. First, Flames of Oblivion. First we do Engulfing Flames, then Burning Embers, then Unstable Wall, we swap bars, Eruption, Rearming Trap, Flames of Oblivion now, use Ruin, swap bars, and do one whip. Then we do Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Unstable Wall, and now we do 4 whips. So again, the whole rotation is Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Unstable Wall, we bar swap, Eruption, Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Scalding Rune, 1 whip. Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Unstable Wall, and 4 whips. Now a lot of people ask, well, when would you use your ultimate? And some people just drop ultimate in the beginning of the fight. Now the reason why that would be a DPS loss, dropping it right off the bat, is because it buffs the damage that you're already doing, the standard does. So what you want to do is you want to have all of your dots up. So a rotation with the ultimate would look like this. And I'm going to do this full time. I would start my rotation, fully charged heavy, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Wall, Eruption, Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Scalding Rune. Now all my dots are up, and I'm going to drop my standard. Then I continue in the second part, Wall, and then 4 whips. And then I restart. Flames, Embers, Wall, Eruption, Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Scalding Rune, 1 whip, and second part of the rotation, and 4 whips. And so on and so forth. I found this rotation to be very effective, does a lot of damage. Of course, make sure that you light attack between every single skill that you use, not only to do more damage, but get resources back, so on and so forth. Every single light attack adds up, so make sure that you're canceling with swaps, bar swaps. So when you do blockade, you swap and cancel it, and make sure that you're light attacking between every single thing that you do, again, to get resources back and slightly increase your damage. So that's it for the build. Again, I really hope that you like this video, it helped you out. Again, Magicka DK is an essential class in every single trial. So if you can practice this rotation, master this rotation, you're going to be very, very valuable to any trial group that you're going to run into. Thank you for watching. Again, if this helped you out, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you for the next video. Bye-bye.